I'm not quite sure how to start this video because I have so many different things to say that could be interpreted as this game being one specific style of thing that only a specific niche of people would like. So instead, I'll settle for this. Duet Night Abyss is like if Code Vein and Warframe had a baby and then got NTR'd by Genshin Impact and Palworld while in the middle of a D&D campaign. This game is genuinely so unique in the gacha space with some of the most fun co-op experiences, some of the most free-to-play friendly gacha experiences, and one of the coolest story executions in a gacha game. So strap in or on or whatever makes the most sense to you and listen up because I've got a lot to tell you about. When I was reached out to do this sponsored video, I figured why not? It's another anime game that I'm sure I'll like. But boy, did I not expect what was going to happen when I hit launch for the first time. The game crashed 6 times. I had an NVIDIA driver update. When the game started, I was thrown into a character selection screen in which I obviously picked the female lead because she has a smaller hitbox. I also don't have footage of the guy, so you'll just have to believe me. The way Duet Night Abyss's story works is you're actually playing 2 different protagonists who are different halves of the story. Chapter Noctojäger is about a protagonist who, much to my surprise, does not wake up with complete amnesia.
Wow.
In fact, she seems perfectly functional, except for the fact that she herself doesn't fight. After leaving your cave and doing a combat demo where you judgment cut literally everything, you meet the hot evil lady. If evil, why hot? After you lose to hot evil lady, you fight her again, and thanks to a mysterious power, you win, but then you lose your friend to the hot evil lady and set out on your own adventure to get her back. The downside to this, aside from having one less character on your roster, is that where you end up is really, really cold, so you immediately have to meet another hot lady in order to warm up. Eventually, you make it back to town, one run by the Hyperborean Empire. This is where you learn that everyone is racist.
How come it looks more like a mongrel to me?
As it turns out, as the female protagonist, you are the minority in this game, even though a majority of players will pick her instead of the dude. No. Speaking of the dude, he actually has a very important role here, because depending on if you pick the male or female protagonist, at least as of the beta, you'll progress through a different storyline. As the female MC is a homeless, hopeless damsel getting hard carried by gacha luck in opposition of the Hyperborean Empire, the male MC is actually on the side of the Hyperborean Empire, showing you 2 different sides to conflict and letting you live both of them in harmony. Hence the duet in Duet Night Abyss. But that's enough about the story because I don't want to spoil anything, and also I found out it has a skip button. Duet Night Abyss isn't your normal self-insert gacha game. In fact, it's following 2 distinct character backstories where the main characters are voiced and their dialogues feel like they actually matter. Actually, I said it's not self-insert, but there is quite a bit of role-playing in this game because when you make certain choices, the game gives you stat points. The aspects that you can improve are benefit, morality, wisdom, empathy, and chaos. And by choosing certain dialogue options, you'll gain points into one of those trees. I highly recommend the chaos tree because it's really funny. These points get challenged later on in dice rolls where they're added to your roll total to try and pass checks that affect different outcomes in quests. They are also useful for a shop later on where having those higher stats can give you access to things like blueprints for the amazing crafting system, which I'll have a little bit more detail on later. So, you know how earlier I said this game was like Warframe, or at least that was one of the things that I said? The movement in Duet Night Abyss feels a lot like Warframe in that it revolves around sliding, jumping, and generally just throwing yourself in random directions. The downside to Duet Night Abyss is that its momentum isn't quite as smooth as I'd like it to be, because all of your movement feels like it stops as soon as you come into contact with the ground. But with that said, this is a beta build of the game, so I hope they fix it. In addition to the movement, there's also the melee and ranged hybrid gameplay where you can interchange weapons at any time, and any characters can use any weapons. So basically, if there's a weapon that you really like, you can use it at any time and you're never restricted. There are, of course, benefits to aligning certain weapons, but it's pretty cool to just use a tiny girl and a giant sword. Speaking of weapons, the crafting system that I mentioned earlier goes hand in hand with it, because while you can swipe with your mom's credit card to get the newest weapon, you can also literally craft it. Completely free to play. It does not matter if the weapon's limited, you can do it completely free to play. See, the way this game works is that you can complete missions for a chance for them to drop an item, a material, or a blueprint. And using those, you can spend the required resources you gained from playing the missions and craft yourself tons of different items, from usable in-game weapons all the way to cosmetics. It does take a little bit of time, but in my opinion, it's infinitely better than having to spend for the items. And on top of that, you can actually co-op with other players to make the missions faster. If you and some friends want to go hack and slash some bads, you can farm the content content and items together, which is one of the things that I feel like every single gacha game is missing. Either co-op or a reason to actually do co-op, and your sleep schedule is not immune. The gearing system is also more or less free-to-play friendly or reward player effort coded. Instead of RNG substat gear like blank, unnamed, not real gacha game, Duet Night Abyss uses a static stats system where specific items raise specific stats and can be shared across different characters. The items are called demon wedges, and they grant you specific stats that you can combine in tandem with other demon wedge slots. There's optimization to it as well, where slots can be tuned to have a certain symbol, and if the symbol matches the wedge symbol, it costs less overall tolerance points to equip, which lets you use stronger wedges and more of them at the same time. The stats in this game that get buffed are kind of ridiculous, because while you have normal stats you may be used to, like crit rate and crit damage, you also have attack speed. So by spending the time to acquire the right demon wedges in game, you can make some really funny builds. Demon wedges can be equipped to your character, melee weapons, and ranged weapons, but not your Genie mod, which is essentially not Pokemon. You can find these guys all over the world and try to capture them with some food, but as you might remember from your time in the Safari Zone, these guys run away after you fail to feed them. No! These different Geniemon can be equipped to any character and utilized as a bonus skill. In Duet Night Abyss, they also have cosmetic items, so ultimately everything in this game is customizable, from the characters and modifications to the amount of brain rot cosmetics you want to give them. And I am still not immune to cat girls. When it comes to characters and weapons, the only thing that really feels limited are the characters themselves, which at the moment are only obtained from the gacha. However, there is one saving grace to the gacha system in this game compared to others. It follows the new gacha standard of having a beginner standard banner, except this one only requires 40 pulls to get your first rate up because it uses 8 pull currency for each 10. And you get to choose the character that you get. And continuing to follow the new gacha standard, it has a rate up banner with around 90-ish pulls to pity and a 50-50 chance at the rate up. But if you look at the left here, you can see that you have a 100% rate up banner. This is essentially the first copy of the character you get is guaranteed the movie, because it is absolute cinema. That means for free-to-play players, you only need to save up 1 pity in order to get 1 copy of the character you want, instead of needing to save up 2 pities. If delivering a good gacha experience was a crime, Duet Night Abyss would be Alcatraz. They have me locked up there with my wrists in chains as I hack and slash my way through hundreds of enemies using a cute anime girl with a massive attack speed buff. Duet Night Abyss is not only the most flexible build gacha game I have ever played, but also one of the most fun and free-to-play friendly ones due to the co-op and crafting mechanics. Because I have this check mark next to my name, I am legally obligated to tell you the truth, so I must give you this information. The game is not perfect, and it has quite a few bugs and things to iron out. I love that this game is fast, and that I don't automatically cling to walls the second I'm near them like some of the other games I'm used to playing, but if they do not fix the momentum instantly stopping upon touching the ground, I may accidentally break the Geneva Conventions. And now that I am restrained in this hypothetical chair as a cog in the corporate machine, I feel the need to tell you, Warframe with anime girls is an experience that everyone should have. And if you're interested in trying it out, use my link down below, because if you use anyone else's link, I will protect your house.